Falls under fair use as it's a parody. If you don't have a sense of humor, go fuck yourself. Welcome. Is this my reality? Is this your reality? What about Bob? Something just doesn't add up here. In this reality, it seems you can fracture your skull in 6 different places just by falling backwards. In a carpeted room with no blood.
Bob Saget's death, while tragic, was really suspicious because of the injuries that he sustained.
He had a variety of fractures at the back of his skull, extending all the way around to the front of the skull.
There's no way that this was just a fall. I mean, what kind of injury to the back of your head breaks the front of your eyes?
Well, first of all, it's not true. It's not true that Bob Saget raped and killed a girl in 1990.
Hi, Gilbert. I hear that Bob Saget did some stuff in 1990. What was it again? Well, I hate talking about it, but Bob Saget raped and killed a girl in 1990. Okay, I'm just kidding. There's no truth that Bob Saget raped and killed a girl in 1990. So don't start spreading some unproven rumor that Bob Saget raped and killed a girl in 1990.
The official cause of death is made public. Saget died of blunt force head trauma.
Bob Saget, America's dad, 65 years old. He was found unresponsive on January 9th in a hotel room at the Ritz Carlton Orlando. Saget was pronounced dead at the scene, according to the Orange County Sheriff's Office. In 1987, Saget was a member of the CBS morning program for a little while. Then he was cast as Danny Tanner, the dad from Full House, which became a success with family viewers all over the country. This landed in the top 30 ratings beginning with season 3. In 1989, Saget began as host of America's Funniest Home Videos, a role he held until 1997. During the early 90s, Saget worked on both Full House and the video show. From 2016 to 2020, Saget reprised his role as Danny Tanner for 15 episodes of Full House's sequel series, Fuller House, including the series premiere and the finale. That show was a mess. Awful. Saget was also a frequent guest on the Opie and Anthony show, where his raunchier style of comedy first started being exposed to the public.
Fucked up. And I love those people. I treated them all like my own. Kimmy Gibbler, I fucked her. Anyway, please don't react to that. That's wrong. Please don't applaud that. That is stupid and easy. And I'm sorry.
Saget was married to Sherry Kramer in 1982, and they had 3 daughters before they divorced in 1987. He was later married to television presenter Kelly Rizzo from 2018 until his death in 2022. After his death, the widow wanted to block the autopsy report. A judge in Orlando, Florida, granted a temporary injunction blocking the release of any records relating to the investigation into Saget's death after his family filed a lawsuit citing privacy concerns. In an interview, let me try to pronounce this right, Niyama Rihami, a former assistant U.S. attorney and the current president of the West Coast Trial Lawyers Association, speculated that the family likely wants to keep the records private for only one of 2 reasons. They're either really private people and they don't want the public to have access to potentially graphic details, pictures, and videos of his death, or is there some information in the records that is embarrassing? The toxicology report has confirmed that alcohol nor drugs were a factor in this case. Romani said, quote, "The question is, what caused Saget to fall backward, hit his head, and die? That's not something that normally happens to healthy people." You think? Just saying.
What's weird is a lot of girls come up to me now and they go, "Oh my God, I grew up watching you." And I go, "Good, now you're going to go down watching me," which is not a nice thing to say. It is inappropriate, and I don't recommend doing it. It is wrong.
The official explanation is blunt head trauma as a result of an accidental fall.
And he had a variety of fractures at the back of his skull, extending all the way around to the front of the skull into the orbits, which are the bones around your eyes, as well as hemorrhages in the inside of his skull around the brain.
Saget's skull was so badly shattered that Dr. Gavin Brights, the chairman of neurosurgery at Houston Methodist, says there's significant trauma, similar to something I find with someone with a baseball bat to the head. The baseball bat. Emory University neurologist Dr. Daniel Barrow raised more red flags about the former sitcom star's bizarre autopsy report detailing the January 9th tragedy at the luxurious Ritz Carlton, saying, "There is no hotel room I've ever stayed in that would allow a fall significant enough to cause this kind of head injury. It really raises to me more questions than it provides answers."
I was like, holy shit. He had injuries all over. And then he had 2 black eyes. What kind of fall can I have in a hotel room? I mean, what kind of injury to the back of your head breaks the front of your eyes?
Now the claim is that he cracked his head on his bedroom headboard, but New York-based Dr. Stuart Fisher points out there were 6 fractures on the back and front of Saget's head. You have to fall 10 to 20 feet or be battered by a blunt object to suffer injuries of that kind. It's beyond suspicious and screams of a possible crime scene to me. If his death came from a fall, it had to come from multiple falls. There is no way he simply fell and hit his head and then died. This case is crying out for further investigation, he said.
Raccoon eyes are not typically something that I would see with a ground level fall. This is something that you see much more commonly with a high velocity, high impact, severe traumatic brain injury.
His former co-star, Candace Bure, agrees. She says, "I keep in close contact with Kelly. It's been difficult these past couple of weeks because of more things that have come out. And there's a lot of questions." Exactly, there's a lot of questions.
Saget fell and experienced this catastrophic blow to the head on the carpet, but was found on the bed.
After a major brain injury like this, I would not expect someone to be oriented enough or thinking clearly enough to be able to calmly get themselves into bed, pull the sheets up, lay their arms down in a very organized fashion. To me, the very traumatic nature of his injuries does not match the orderly scene that was described when he was found dead.
But I don't know if you can tell, but I'm divorced, and it was 9 years ago, and I have a wonderful ex-wife. She's fucking rich. That's her boyfriend's name, and fucking him. And he's a good guy. He loves the house I bought him. He's very happy. And he loves the steam room, and that's all.
So who done it? First, let's say who and what did not kill Bob Saget. Number one theory out there, and it's batshit crazy, but it might be my favorite. The theory is that the vaccine did it to Saget. This was pushed none other than by Thunder Lips himself, Hulk Hogan. I know, despite the fact that Hulkster, he's known as a great thinker, he's wrong here. I'll tell you why. Hulkster, a vaccine doesn't bash your friggin' head in at night in a hotel. I'm thinking this was put out there to make everyone who isn't a fan of the jab look as stupid as the Hulkster. Number 2, This is just as mind-boggling as the first one. There are thoughts out there that because of the Gilbert Gottfried joke that I showed you from the beginning, and jokes in Saget's own act that I also showed you, that he is in fact a P-word. And the father of one of his victims had tracked him down to the hotel and acted some sort of vigilante justice and shit on him. This just seems like it would be extremely hard to pull off as a regular Joe dad out for justice type. Why wouldn't he just sue or have Saget arrested or just punch him in the face? And this would make a good movie, but I think something else went down that night. What really happened? Bob Saget was alone doing a comedy show in his Florida hotel room. We do know that the room next door, the adjacent door, was unlocked at the time. Why is it every time something shady as fuck goes on in one of these hotels, the security footage is always missing something? Vegas comes to mind. We know from the pictures he took with the valet, he seemed to be fine before going to his room. No signs of injury or having been in a car crash. So, whomever the killer is, was either led into the room by Saget, had a key, or entered from the adjacent room. But wouldn't a hotel be able to trace the doors that were open and at what time? Every hotel I see these days has electronic room entry, so either Saget was alone all night or one of those doors was breached. Going off the evidence that a fall did not cause the severe injury, we must assume something or someone hit Bob's head with a tremendous amount of force. Maybe it was a baseball bat or something? Look, either the killer was Babe friggin' Ruth, or this person must have been in quite a rage to do such damage to Saget's skull. Hey, look, you're gonna find a lot of doctors who are gonna say this is just the result of a normal fall, but let's go down the rabbit hole, shall we? Who would want Bob Saget dead? Did Bob have any skeletons in his closet? I mean, there's none that we know as of now. Who do you normally look at when a spouse dies mysteriously? Well, the spouse, in this case, Bob's wife. From all we can tell, they seem to have a good marriage, but you never know what goes on behind closed doors. What reasons would a wife have to get rid of her husband? Usually money, maybe a divorce was coming. Or did Bob really have skeletons in his closet that would cause them financial ruin, and she wanted to get out ahead of it? We've yet to see any evidence of that, but there was something in those crime scene photos that someone didn't want to be seen. Maybe she's just keeping quiet to avoid the same fate as Bob. Bob Saget, look, he has been around a long time. He's seen a lot of things in Hollywood. Did he see or hear something maybe he shouldn't have? Whomever did this, and this is just our theory, was a very, very well-off person, or people, enough to make things like security footage just disappear. And we think they had a personal grudge against Bob. This wasn't a random act of violence. So whom do we know that's very rich, have known Bob a very long time, have been involved in other high-profile celebrity death, and to be honest, are two very creepy adults now. The Olsen twins. Humor me here. Yeah, even as babies, you could feel the evil in those two. So what high-profile celebrity death were they also connected with? Heath Ledger. Yep, the Joker himself. When Heath Ledger was found dead, it wasn't 911 who received the first call. Instead, in a mystery that bewilders many, Mary Kate Olsen was the first person to learn of the actor's death. Diane Wazelin, Heath Ledger's masseuse, tragically found the actor who had died from an overdose in a New York apartment on January 22, 2008. According to a New York Times report, Wazelin arrived for a regular appointment with Ledger on the day of his death. She initially believed he was asleep, but soon realized something was wrong after several minutes. Wazelin then called Olsen a total of 4 times, 3 before paramedics even arrived and 1 after. Mary Kate and Heath were casually dating for about 3 months before Heath's death. Olsen refused to cooperate in the investigation unless she received immunity. The Associated Press reported that Olsen's lawyer refused 2 requests for her to speak with officials. Was this an overdose? Was this a lumber spat? Did they sacrifice this dude? But why would the twins sacrifice Bob Saget? Good question. And in this batshit crazy reality, we got a batshit crazy answer. So it seems a Twitter thread and a YouTube video accusing Saget of child SA circulated early in 2021 and explored rumors that Saget had an inappropriate relationship with Mary Kate and Ashley Olsen on the set of Full House. Twitter and YouTube? You know it's got to be true. When neither of the twins reprised their roles for the Netflix reboot Fuller House, some wondered if behind-the-scenes scandals had stopped the pair from reuniting with Saget. You're giving conspiracy theorists a bad name with this. Saget did once joke about behaving inappropriately towards Michelle. Another thing people have taken as evidence of inappropriate behavior is Saget's past comments about acting opposite a doll. Now get this. Sometimes, as Saget explained in his memoir, he would have to practice scenes with a doll when Mary Kate or Ashley Olsen were not on set. Saget said he would grope the doll, who was supposed to represent his on-screen daughter. He says, "I couldn't help it. The whole show for me was like a beautiful Jekyll and Hyde experience. Being silly helped us survive a super clean-cut show." So all this over a doll. A doll. Get some fucking help, people. Seriously. So, did the Olsen twins sacrifice their on-screen dad? Did his wife do it for the insurance money? Did Dave Coulier do it for a career reboot? Alright, now that we've gotten past that, a parody is a parody. One thing we are sure of here at This Is Not My Reality is that the type of injuries that Bob Saget received that fateful night were not the cause of a standing fall, but from getting bashed in the back of the fucking head with a blunt force object. Just say a baseball bat. We may never really know what happened to Bob Saget, but may he rest in peace. Now get the fuck out of here.
And I do have 3 daughters. Don't you fuck my daughters. And it's true. There's DJ, Steph, Michelle, and Kimmy, who I just had a baby with anally. But anyway, it's horrible. It's all good. Doesn't matter. I was with Uncle Jesse. John Stamos and I were gay together. Well, he was gay. I just laid there.